Hello, everyone. I'd like to welcome you again. I know you've been welcomed by video, but welcome you again to this webinar. So, today we'll have two experts from Isotrol who will tell us all about how to prepare for the new cybersecurity threats in a renewable energy context. So, we'll have Manuel Alguacil and Moises Guerrero as well present today. And Manuel will be the first one to present. So Manuel, would you present yourself briefly, please? You are on mute. So,
yes,
there we go.
Let me present with now. Hi all. Thank you very much for being today with us, talking about renewable energy and cybersecurity. My name is Manuel Alguacil, and CISO and ICT Director at Isotrol. And with me is here today my colleague, Moises Guerrero, Renewable Energy Consultant. First, let me briefly introduce you Isotrol. Isotrol develops technology for the international energy market and focuses on optimizing the efficiency and profitability of renewable energy plants. Isotrol is specialized in solutions to improve the renewable energy assets management, grid integration, and optimizing the transactions in the electric energy market cycle. The company was established in 1984 as pioneers of monitoring and control systems, and today is managing over 45 gigawatts of installed power capacity around the world. Isotrol has offices in Spain, headquarters location, UK, USA, Canada, Brazil, Mexico, and Chile, and maintains a presence with relevant projects in 41 countries on 4 continents. So, let's dive into industrial control systems and cybersecurity. Well, about ICS, industrial control systems. Well, most of the critical services nowadays are managed through industrial control systems, especially in the renewable energy sector. In the last years, as part of a digital transformation, ICS are relying more and more on ICT infrastructures because its maintainability, versatility, scalability, and so on. Power plants are often far away from cities, connected through an internet connection to a control center or to the company facilities, or so a remote connection is needed to communicate between both parts. Since COVID-19 is among us, a lot of employees around the world are now in remote work, exposing companies not just to a new threat, but also a new big exposure surface. Remote connections have been increased exponentially compared to a few months ago. So cybercrime is improving their skills on how to penetrate in remote locations to gain advantage of this new situation. And because of this, power plants and others are more vulnerable than ever if we don't take care of this. So, talking about threats in general could take us a lot of time because there are a lot of different threats. Here we have named some of them, but there are much more. So we'll focus on the most common threats and risks in the renewable energy sector based on our experience. Well, of course, any threat can apply to any business, more or less likely. But in the case of renewable energy sector, these are the top 5 for us. Well, phishing. I'm pretty sure that most of you have heard about phishing or suffered phishing itself. Here at Isotrol, we suffered phishing attack some months ago, maybe. Well, I like to share with you our experience about phishing because, well, one of the most popular phishing attacks is the CIO attack. Is where you receive an email pretending to be your boss, asking you to usually make a money transfer to a special account. And here we suffered this attack, but fortunately, our colleagues in the administration department warned the cybersecurity team, and we could analyze the real email, and we can saw that the email came from an email address that seems to be like the real email, but it was not exactly the same. The attacker don't want you to reply to the correct person in this case, but it has another email address to reply. It was an email address that is hosted in another country with under some securities about encryption of the inboxes. So it's impossible to report to the police, to analyze or to trace where this email came from. So, well, in this email, they ask us for transfer an amount of money. And of course, it was all fake. Another time of phishing, I'm sure you have received one of them one day, is about asking you to change your passwords about the social medias like Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and so on. And they are trying only to gather information from you. Most users use the same passwords in personal social medias and in corporate tools. If you indicate an attacker what password are you using on Facebook, it's more likely the same password you are using on your company. Well, the social engineering is a kind of attack where essentially it's the same concept as before, but in this case, an attacker will make a phone call and try to gather information from any employee. He asks for any department, he pretends to be another colleague from your company, or even for a big company, a partner of yours, and he's trying to get information about emails, positions, phone numbers, and so on. Recently, we suffered social engineering too, pretending to be Microsoft. And they try to gather information from you, and in some cases, they will give you free licenses of Office or Microsoft Windows if you collaborate with them. All is prepared to gather information from you. Well, the ransomware is one of the most spreaded attacks today. Ransomware, it's a kind of malware that encrypts your information, files, even databases. And when it's done, it asks you for a ransom. Well, mostly ransomware is the only way you can get rid of ransomware is having often backups. If you have often backups, you could recover your information. Usually paying for the ransom is not a warranty of recovering your information. Unpatched devices. This is one of the most risks we found on our customers or in power plants because it's very difficult to keep them up to date. So it's very easy to find unpatched devices, even directly connected to internet. So these devices, these unpatched devices, is at risk directly connected to internet. So we are opening a door for a cyber attack. And the last one for us, what is fortunately the advanced persistent threats, or APTs. Fortunately, this is not the most common attack, but is one of the most sorry dangerous attacks, because if you suffer an APT attack, you have the presence of the attacker inside your network. The attacker is already inside your network. Is constantly searching for your infrastructure, analyzing your communications, and they have all the time to perform or to prepare the attack. Sorry, I have. In this case, we recommend the awareness. As we can read, we are as strong as our weakness link. In most cases, the weakness link is the people, our employees. So awareness is one of the most important things we can do. Phishing, social engineering, even ransomware could be mitigated with a good awareness program. So I'd like to share with you some news we can find on the internet, all related to cyber attacks, the real cyber attacks. So for example, here we can see that the insiders suspected in Saudi cyber attack. Well, Saudi Arabia's national oil company is the victim of this cyber attack. And as you will guess, it's a very important company there. So in this case, it's a very interesting case, because the cyber criminals get all information and were supported by own employees of this company. The employees provided all the information needed for this attack. It was all prepared for inside. Well, here we can see another news. The Russian hackers penetrate US power stations. Well, in this case, the cyber criminal were looking for stop the service. That was their goal, to stop the service. And it's very interesting to know that in this case, cyber criminals reissued computers not directly connecting to internet. So from the backdoor they discovered, from the way they penetrate the system, they reissued a lot of computers not directly connected to internet. So they could reach this point. The last one. Cyber attack hits Utah wind and solar energy provider. Well, as it reads, it's first of its attack to hit a renewable energy provider. In this case, we're talking about renewable energy provider. And as we can read in this news, unpatched device connected to internet exploited was the origin of this attack. This case was a Cisco firewall. Well, later we'll talk about this kind of problem of unpatched devices. And we're having even some examples. Well, Stuxnet. I think it's interesting to talk about the Stuxnet, because the Stuxnet is a worm. It's a type of threat. It's a worm called Stuxnet, and it's specifically designed to attack nuclear plants. It was designed in 2010, and it's supposed to be designed by United States government and Israel against Iran nuclear program. Well, the interesting of this is that in 2010, cybercrime started to specialize. So And now it's much more lucrative putting the focus on specific targets rather than in randomized victims. They put all their efforts in attacked concrete locations, concrete plants, and they choose very carefully their targets. So Stuxnet was the first development, big development, sponsored in this case by a government, two governments indeed. Well, I like to tell you here at this point about Sherdan. I'd like to tell you about Sherdan because I like to show you how easy it is to find valuable information on the internet. Well, what is Sherdan? Well, Sherdan defines itself as the world's first search engine for the internet-connected devices. Well, what does it mean? What does this really means? Well, if we suffer something with Sherdan, we'll see some banners that describes what Sherdan do. As we can see here, for example, it's the search engine for webcams. For instance, you can search how many webcams are directly connected to internet. Sherdan have cataloged all of them for you. So if you are interested in webcams, you can query Sherdan for this topic. Sherdan will show you how many webcams did it found. Mostly people used to leave users and password by default. So sooner or later, you will find a webcam connected in every part of the world, and you could access because the user and the password is the same that the manufacturer registered in the beginning. So, well, this is an example. Sherdan will help you to find webcams, but what else? Well, the Internet of Things. Every devices we have connected to internet. Security in general. Refrigerators. You could query Sherdans about refrigerators directly connected to internet. Buildings, as they are much more buildings, you can search for it. And of course, you can search for power plants. At this point, if we continue surfing with Sherdan, we'll see that we can explore directly Sherdan, and we'll find a screen like this. In this screen, we can see, for example, that people is querying webcams, it's querying cams and net cams, but they are very interested in any devices like webcams connected to the internet. But we can search for databases, video games, and if we see in the left side, industrial control systems. Sherdan have already cataloged all the industrial control system related information it has found on the internet. If we go through this menu, we'll get something like this, where we have, well, a lot of protocols, industrial protocols, directly seen from the internet that Sherdan has sorted for you. For instance, we can see Modbus, DMP, or IEC 104, for instance. We could continue suffering Sherdan, and we can get more information about the specific topics. So if I'm a cyber criminal and I'm specialized in Modbus, sorry, I can came to Sherdan and I can search in 2 clicks. I can get all the Modbus protocol seen on internet. I can refine my query. I can especially search Modbus protocols located in one country, in one city. So I can make a very, very refined query. Well, all of this brings us to the point that what really matters finally at the end of the road is our data. We can replace any damaged device, but we cannot recover any lost data if we have not previously taken care of it. Data is the most important part of the business. And we can see on this slide the so-called CIA security triangle or CIA triad. And this is very important because if we are under attack, or attacker will try to affect us in one of three dimensions. As we can read, confidentiality, integrity, and availability. Any cybersecurity breach or attack we can suffer will try to affect one of these three dimensions. So let me explain a little more what's the meaning of every one. When we are talking about confidentiality, we're talking about the data must only be accessed by authorized personnel. So no data is revealed through ungranted access. In this example, a cyber criminal could gain access to our facilities or our plant and steal our data to be used or sold to third parties, for example. When we are talking about integrity, we are talking about our data is only changed by authorized methods and persons. In this case, a cyber criminal could change our data to impact in the business using wrong data. He could change a wind turbine data, a value causing damage to it. So it's very important, the integrity of our data. Last, availability. We can use our data in the very right moment we need to use it. The business needs to do this in a 24/7, 365 way. If a cyber criminal could make our system unavailable, stopping the production, for example. So we'll show you some real scenarios. And now I'll leave you with my colleague Moises for this case. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Manuel, for your presentation. Very insightful and very interesting. And, you know, I'd just like to remind the audience that this is your chance to ask questions. So I have already written down a few, and one of them is, you know, what's the utility of something like Sherdan, you know, other than, well, to help cyber criminals find more information about their targets, you know, but you will get to that. But for now, I'll get Moises to deliver his presentation. Over to you, Moises.
Thanks, Carlos. Hello, everybody. In this part of the presentation, I'm going to show you how a typical power plant network looks, how the attackers can access it, the typical threats that we are facing, and finally also a couple of different solutions that we can use to improve the security of our networks. So, well, this is a this is a typical architecture of an industrial control system environment. Here we can see represented several layers or zones from the field layer to the business one. The elements and naming are just given as an example. Not all of them are mandatory in a power plant facility network, but we can assume that this is a common architecture. So at first sight, it seems that we have a controlled network starting at the plant on the bottom of the slide and ending at the enterprise on the top of the slide, where the communications are supposed to flow hidden to the rest of the world, as this is a local private network. However, in reality, this is not true, because actually the facility usually use an internet connection to be connected to the enterprise, to the headquarters, for instance. This link is also is often ciphered via VPN tunnel, which makes the traffic unreachable from outside the power plant network, in theory. But we have to consider here that the tunnel is created either by the firewall or the router of this local infrastructure. And anyway, this element is also exposed to the internet, which means that any attacker can reach it, examine it, find any vulnerability, and finally exploit it. So when this happens, the attacker can gain access to the to some elements inside our private network, and from this point, the cyber criminal will have the chance to scan the local resources, analyze them, and find any vulnerability to affect our data in the way that my colleague Manuel just commented before with the CIA triad. At that point, our data will be compromised because the data could be either stolen, modified, made unavailable, or even worse, the attacker could affect the operations of the plant itself, which obviously would be the most dangerous situation that we might have. As a real case that we recently had in this Romanian small solar plant, an attacker accessed the SCADA database, and they kidnapped the data. They asked for an amount of money to bring the data back to the owner. Nobody paid because, well, we could recover the data thanks to a backup that Isotrol had in place. But this is just an example. Fortunately, this attack didn't cause a big impact in the owner of this network, but obviously, of course, it could have been worse. So what can you do? There are different solutions that we can use to protect local networks, the power plant networks. One of these solutions would be a honeypot. A honeypot is a computer security mechanism set to detect and somehow counteract the use of any attempt of an unauthorized use of an information system. Generally speaking, a honeypot consists of a service, for instance, like a web server, that appears to be a legitimate part of that network. It seems to contain good information and a valuable resource to be attacked for attackers. But actually, this is just an isolated and monitored service, which allows blocking or analyzing external attacks. Why? Well, because networks, the power plant networks are full of servers and services which communicate each other in a certain way using protocols and connections. And since the honeypot is just a fake infrastructure inside our own network, and it is only known by the cybersecurity team, never should be accessed because it is offering just a fake service and it is not actually used for any business purpose. So if our network is compromised by any attack, the attacker will access the local network. They will start scanning the network, looking for valuable resources and to be attacked. And one of these scanned resources will be the honeypot. At that moment, the honeypot will trigger a security event to warn the cybersecurity team about this unexpected scanning. And this way we will be warned about something going wrong in the power plant infrastructure. So in this scenario, we can say that the honeypot is a valuable part of our network because it actually allows to uncover potential attacks, improving the security of the infrastructure. But beyond the honeypot, from Isotrol, we bet for a special adaptation of an intrusion detection system, which is what it's usually called an IDS, being prepared to work as part of our SCADA network infrastructure as a passive device, so no interaction is performed with any other network element. If we implement a honeypot and we are attacked, it is possible that the attacker remains silent, listening the traffic, just listening the traffic, not scanning as we saw in the previous slide. What happens here is that if they are just listening, the honeypot won't be able to detect this attack. So sometimes the attackers might already have the knowledge of the power plant network they are attacking, and maybe in that case they won't need to scan the network. This kind of knowledge from of the power plant network maybe is related to any kind of attack like the ones that my colleague Manuel just explained, like phishing, social engineering, or some of this type of attacks. And this initial scanning is not needed in that case. So again, the honeypot is not enough in these cases, and we will need a more complete solution to keep our infrastructure secure. Having a specialized IDS in place, like this one, like the one that Isotrol is implementing for some customers, we could detect even this kind of behaviors. This is possible because an IDS is constantly fed by all the traffic inside an IT network, in this case, a power plant network. The traffic is constantly analyzed, looking for unauthorized communications or new or unknown IPs, unknown or unexpected ports being used, on that kind of things. This information will be analyzed by what is called an event correlator SIM, which is a security information and event management, to optimize the scanning of these threats and trigger alarms for the cybersecurity team only for real threats. Sometimes it's not that easy to detect which alarms are the ones that are real threats. There's something that we have to say about the power plant networks. Yeah, and in that case, it's different from other type of networks. We have to consider that in a power plant network barely suffers changes in the long term. The configuration of communications between its elements and its devices don't suffer many changes. And even new components are rarely added to an already commissioned power plant infrastructure. So we can say that in the power plant networks, we are facing almost static designs, which allows to easily and rapidly detect anomalies and report it to the cybersecurity team. And well, as part of the roadmap of Isotrol SCADA products and Isotrol SCADA solutions, Isotrol has tested this solution in several different environments and customers with good results. And now we are able to offer a cost-effective IDS solution for our customers by offering both SCADA and networking solutions together within the same framework, providing a competitive, complete, and secured solution for the operations and maintenance of our customers and their power plants. So, well, in short, bottom line, modern power plants are using more and more IT infrastructures to control and access the plants. This is our reality day to day, and we must work to make it the safer we can. This implies that typical IT threats are now also present in the industrial control systems field. The threats need to be analyzed and combated, keeping in mind the needs of this industrial sector, but also using the huge experience of the ICT sector in cyber defense. The cybercrime is now more than ever a sector-oriented threat. So power plants have become one of the most targeted sector. We can say that at every power plant, we are nearest than ever to suffer a cyber attack. So, as we saw in the beginning of the presentation, do not ask yourself if you are safe, because well, in one of the first slides, the title was "Are we safe?" Well, do not ask yourself if you are safe. Ask yourself if you'll be ready when you are attacked, because sooner or later you will. So this is everything from us. We hope that you have enjoyed the presentation, this webinar, and that you have find it interesting. And well, if you have any question, we'll be here to answer.
Thank you very much, Moises, for your presentation. Really insightful, actually. I have to admit that, you know, I've been working in renewable energy for, well, kind of close to like 12 years, you know, reporting on different aspects of renewable energy, but cybersecurity is not really an aspect that I had paid much attention to. And I had never even heard of something like Sherdan. So I am, you know, I've certainly learned a lot of new things today. Right, so we have a number of questions here. So let's start with the questions from the audience. Let's start with the first question by Natalie Lawrence. What are the standards that should be followed in international world for supply chain security, industrial control, system security, etc.? In the US, there are many standards from NIST, CMMC, and ISO that are in play. But what is the right one internationally?
What the standards? Well, the right one. That's very difficult to say, because, well, most of standards at the end are looking the same. They try you to be secure, to prepare to be secure. They give you the tools and the procedures to reach your objective. So really, there is no one that is over the rest. We, in our case, we work with many international standards, but in cybersecurity, we are implementing mainly the NIST cybersecurity framework as a base standard, and from them we adapt to other standards, because NIST give you a very open view about other standards. So you, if you are using NIST, you are already sorry.
Oh yeah, you are ready to work.
Yes, with other standards.
Yeah, with any other standard.
Most requirements are the same.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Well, very Very good. So we have a few more questions here, and one of them is, if you have an idea of how many renewable energy power plants have been attacked.
How many?
I don't think that's easy to say because
People normally don't reveal, right? That they have been attacked.
that's the point.
If I
Most
get,
of them won't be public.
Yeah.
So
I mean, if my company, gets hacked, I'm not going to publish that in the newspaper. So.
yeah, even sometimes it's not that easy to see that you have been attacked.
Right.
So it's difficult to say. Fortunately, we don't suffer so many attacks. We haven't suffered so many attacks, just from time to time. But yeah, sometimes even you don't notice that you have been attacked until
the end.
until maybe a few months later, and that kind of things that happens. Unfortunately, especially for old power plant networks, when maybe these cybersecurity worries didn't were not so so important. So by then, maybe a few years ago, people didn't pay so much attention to secure the networks, and for that kind of old assets, maybe it will be easier to find this kind of cyber attacks.
Yes.
Actually, can I ask you if you want to, you can stop sharing your presentation now,
No,
and they can see us, in the camera.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
but I think that was good because you have the picture of both of you, and you must know examples of plants, renewable energy plants that were attacked and they were not ready, they were not prepared. What happened in those cases?
Well, when you suffer an attack in a plant that is not already prepared to this, it's a big problem because, for example, as we have said, NIST cybersecurity framework is proposing you to implement a cybersecurity cycle where you have to identify your assets to protect them. Then you have to detect what's happening in your infrastructure, if you're under attack or if you are good. When this occurs, when this happens, you have to respond to this attack. And finally, when you mitigate this attack or disappear, you maybe have to recover from it. It's a long cycle that starts with the identification of your assets and to protect them. If you do not perform these initial tasks, and when you're under attack, maybe it's late. You will suffer, as we previously said, with the CIA security triangle. You will suffer in one or other dimension. This attack, it will affect you. So you could lose your integrity. You could lose your data. You could have data changed by third parties. It's a very, very big problem. When you implement all these mechanisms from the beginning, it's much easier to reduce the impact in these dimensions of the data. It's easier to recover, to respond, and the rest.
Right. So better to prepare, basically. So better safe than sorry. So.
Yes, of course.
Right. And I think there is a very good question here, which is by Herman Ramos, and he asks. He says, well, we do study the CIA security triangle when we study network security. Is there a difference between protecting energy assets to protecting any other kind of assets?
Well, good question. Well, it's a very, very special sector. All special sectors must have special procedures and special tools, special careful with what you are doing. Um, some part of this protection maybe it's the same, but at the end you have special assets that may be protected in a special way because they are not in other sectors.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like the communication protocols,
Yes.
which are more maybe are more common in this field, in the renewable energy plants, or yeah, there are some particularities that might be different to other fields.
That's right.
Okay. And another question, which is the first one of the, not the first thing, but the second thing that I thought when I learned about Sherdan today in your webinar, because believe it or not, I hadn't heard about it. So this person asks, is it possible? So it's Pablo Massetti asks, is it possible to block your devices so they cannot be found on searches like Sherdan?
Solutions.
You can hide to show them. You can
Oh
hide your
no.
network. You have your devices, but they are hidden to show them.
Yes. Well, Shodan is constantly scanning the internet. So, well, we've made a little introduction to Shodan. I like you all of you to try Shodan. It's very interesting. It's a very interesting tool because maybe you were impressed when you use Shodan for the kind and the amount of information it has. So it's constantly scanning the internet, constantly analyzing everything it sees. It can identify what device he has just reached, the manufacturer, versions, vulnerabilities. Inside the portal, you could see one IP address, what services are behind that IP, what vulnerabilities it has, and every protocol. You don't have to do anything. It's already there.
So potentially you could use it to find out your own weaknesses, right? And
Yes, it's intended to be for that. But you
I see.
protect your assets, and but well, it's all the information is right there.
Yeah, it's you could use that information well, or for
Yes,
nefarious purposes like cyber criminals do.
It's right there for everybody. So.
Yeah, I am amazed actually. Every day you learn something new. So well, and the a question by Gianni is saying that he was setting up monitoring devices for commercial and industrial PV customers, and he realized that a lot of the hardware providers in the market only use FTP protocols to send on-site plant production data from like simple data loggers, and he wants to find devices that have MQTT or SFTP functionality. Has the industry missed the chance to adapt to new threats and technological developments? Asks Gianni. What is your view on this?
What? Do you have an opinion?
So do you mean that the whole industry like making an agreement to make everything more secure?
No, he's saying, whether the what he's saying, I think my interpretation of it is that there are a lot of hardware providers haven't really provided, the safest protocols available to share information. Is
Okay.
that something that you have observed? Is that true, or?
Okay.
In the future.
Yeah. Well, there are some communication protocols that it is known that it is better to be used, for instance, just in a local network, but maybe not being that traffic shouldn't be submitted to through a VPN, for instance. Through a VPN, which, as I said before, is ciphered, but at the end of the day, is going through the internet. So there are some kind of protocols which are more secure just to be used in a local network. Some others are known as more secure protocol networks, like, for instance, the IEC 104 is known as a well-secured protector to share the data through a VPN, for instance. Maybe actually we had this conversation recently. For instance, the Modbus protocol, which is, by the way, very useful in these PV plants. It's a very good protocol, a very good communication protocol to be used in a local network, inside the local network of the PV plant, but it is not that recommended to be used to submit data to a different network through a VPN, through the internet.
Okay, and you mentioned something, and I am quite happy to admit my ignorance in all things related to cybersecurity. You mentioned that there are ways in which a device could be attacked not directly from an internet connection. So how does that work? Is it possible for a device to be attacked from a different place or from?
Yes. Well, a plant could be attacked directly from internet, as we have seen. But well, at the end, this plant is connected to a company through an internet connection. It creates a tunnel. It's a transparent way of communication for both parts. But we have to keep in mind that any attack to the company, if your company at the top level is attacked from inside or outside, because the company is on internet too, and you gain access to some network parts of that company that can reach the plants that are in the lower layers. They could be attacked as well, because you have two entry points in this case. You can attack directly from internet, or even you could attack directly to the company, to the enterprise that is in the top level, and through it you can reach the plant. We suppose in this presentation was focused in the power plant and directly, but we suppose that all companies have an ICT department that is worried about these matters, and this party is covered by them. But you could reach the plants in this case by different ways.
Okay, well, that's essentially, if get your team on the case and make sure that all of the aspects are like secured. That you also mentioned unpatched devices, which I thought, well, yeah, it seems kind of obvious, right? If you have vulnerabilities there, but it's something, if you don't have a team dedicated to it, I think it would be very easy to overlook. So, there are a few questions here. They're all very specific, and one of them, I don't know if you have an answer to this now, but Francisco Javier Gallego asks, what could be a reasonable budget for cybersecurity to be included in the business plan of a PV power plant? It would be like, I suppose that in the overall budget, it would be, a fairly small sum, but it's probably worth investing in, right? If you want to keep your assets safe.
How much?
It's we're that's out of scope.
Yeah, I see. No, I mean, I think I understand, and also it's difficult, to quantify. But we're not talking about 10% of investment of a plant, are we? It would be
10%. I don't think so. Less than 10%.
Less than 10%.
Yes.
It wouldn't be a huge amount. I wouldn't think, when you look at the overall investment. And
keep in mind that in this case, a power plant is a very complex, not just infrastructure, but all the buildings and all the everything. So
and all the people that work in the company, right? So you have to
So at the end of the day, this part is securing the hardware could be a small part of the investment for a power plant.
But then you'd have to include in awareness programs so people don't fall for phishing attempts. You have to But yeah, that's more if you think about security holistically, right?
Yeah, because actually it is worth making these investments because at the end of the day, you will finally suffer an attack, and when that happens, then you will remember that day when you decided to invest less in cybersecurity.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
And you will regret.
There is a question here. Sorry, Manuel.
Oh, sorry, and that's the key. It's an investment, not the cost.
Right. And there is the most popular question here is where you could find training and courses related to cybersecurity of energy assets. So
courses. Well,
go on and speak with you.
Yes.
Right to Manuel and Moises. You've got the details and
yes,
see what they can offer.
We are specializing in this because you can train yourself in cybersecurity on IT infrastructure. In this case, we are applying all this knowledge to power plants or renewable energy sector. So specialized courses for this, I think, is very difficult to find.
And then Gaston Ragni also asks whether Isotrol offers cybersecurity services to its customers. Could you bring some more information? So I recommend you, Gaston, to get in touch. That you get in touch with Manuel and Moises, and I'm fairly sure that they will reply to your question.
Yeah, we usually use we usually offer the cybersecurity services as part of our SCADA services. So
right.
Yeah, so when we provide these services, the SCADA, we provide also the hardware and then everything that needs to be put in place to secure the communications, to secure the infrastructure and everything. And yeah, we provide that like a whole service.
Yeah, right. Excellent. Well, as with all good things, this webinar must also come to an end. It's been very interesting. So thank you very much, Manuel and Moises, for being with us today. And thank you to everyone in the audience for being with us, learning about cybersecurity, and keep those criminals away. So, and I don't know if you'd like to say anything to the audience before we go.
Well, thank you very much for your patience. I hope you enjoyed this session.
Thank you very much, Manuel. Well, and see you here next time at ATA Insights. We host a lot of webinars, and as you know, they're all free to attend. So see you next time, and have a good evening.
Thank you all.